everyone. How are you doing today? What's up? Y'all, I gotta say, Love Island is kind of crazy. I'm only watching it off of TikTok, and then sometimes when one of my coworkers slash friends are watching it in the bar. Only time I've really watched it. But oh my god, it's kind of crazy. Like drama filled everything. And I'm not really a big, reality TV person, but they have a good way of getting you hooked on crazy shit that happens, not gonna lie. And I don't know, hearing the stories after the fact of everything, but anything that I catch about it, it's like, I don't know, it kind of lacks a little bit of substance. I wish they would show more conversations about getting to know the other person rather than being asked a question of how do you feel about so and so, or are you attracted to them, or the jealousy aspect of it, rather than I don't know, I want them to show them as real people, not just people, but real individuals who are there for a specific connection. Because right now, all I'm seeing is surface level stuff and not anything that genuinely shows the chemistry or connection between these people. I don't know. But one of them is like, oh, everyone's lustful, everyone's just here for sex, whatever. And yeah, they're appearing like that, but I also know there's a lot of off camera situations that go on. I just wish they would show, them being actual real people and not some puppets or these surface level individuals. And, maybe some people are, but I don't really have anybody that I'm rooting for. And I think it's weird that some people can go on there for money. You either win a love connection or you win money. I think that's kind of weird, no? But I guess sums up some drama at the end of it. But as for our last week of Pride Month, so sad, gearing towards the end of it, we're going to do a little recap of everything, diving into it, especially if this is your first episode and you want a little bit of backstory from the previous episodes I've talked about. This one is more so talking about protecting the gay kids, the gay kid I'm finally protecting. I've been so passionate about fairness and equality and everything in between since I was very young. And I don't know if that's a neurodivergent or an autism thing or an ADHD thing, ADD thing, whatever. I have just been so big on fairness. Everything should be divided 50-50 in a relationship, in a friendship. Oh, you paid for something this time, let me get it next time, or let me pay you back. I'm not so much as a pay me back or pay you back type of person. I'm more so trying to go about the actions. Oh, you scratch my back, I scratch your back. That's how my mind operates. You do it for me, I do it for you. Which is why I also get super offended and think, why the fuck would somebody do that when it goes against all my morals and beliefs? If somebody does me dirty, I'm like, I would never do that to you. And it's hard for my mind to grasp the concept that somebody would do such a thing. For example, Penny, when she pulled some bullshit, or Belle, when she pulled some bullshit. So weird. Weirdo, weirdo, weirdo. Sound the alarm. Weird. And growing up, I was very much the goofball. I was very much the sensitive child. The kid who cried a lot, the kid who had a hard time making friends. But I've always been bubbly, for the most part, I should say. Once my grandmother, you know, had to do what she had to do because she got brain cancer and had to move me and my younger sister around. My dad was going into boot camp. He couldn't take care of me specifically, and my sister was not his child, so he had no obligation towards her whatsoever, but he still, found a way to take care of both of us by asking his parents, so my grandfather and technically my step grandmother, to take us in. And I was 7. Yeah. Not to mention that, they were very abusive. My grandmother would smack me in the back of the head because that was the only way that, bruises wouldn't show up because my hair would hide it. The screaming and the yelling in my face, everything else. She was very, weird about the reward system. But in that point in time and being separated, because I ended up going to live with my father and my now mom, because I don't like to refer as my stepmom as, stepmom. She is my mom. But it's so hard to always remember those moments because my grandparents literally packed up all my shit in trash bags and threw me out on the front porch. Granted, they knew that my dad was on his way, but still, having your grandmother go through all of your shit at 8 years old, and letting your little sister decide if she wants to keep something that's yours. Yeah. So another reason, I'm also a very sentimental person for that specific reason, I think, because I don't have a baby blanket. I don't really have photos from when I was younger. I maybe have 3 or 4 pictures from when I was a baby. I have a stuffed animal that I've had since I was 3. Anything else, I don't know. I don't know. A lot of people can ask their parents, how was it when you were pregnant with me or whatever else? Going through that of, all the abandonment, the abuse, the toxic environments, when my dad came to pick me up, I was a very angry, depressive child. And it was only for a split moment of my life because I was moving around a lot. I was moving around schools. I was in and out of different households, with my maternal grandmother, with my paternal grandparents, with my uncle and my dad, and then going back to my grandparents, back and forth. This was time from I was 7 to the time I turned 8. And my what was it? Birthday's in November. I remember turning 7. Specifically because I remember my grandmother waking me up for school. And I don't know why she would do this, but she would get me ready while I was still half asleep. So I remember her waking me up, pulling me on the edge of the bed because I was still sleepy. And she was like, okay, time to get up. And she would take my jammy pants off and then she put jeans on me. Same thing with my shirt. And that's all I remember from that moment. And she was telling me happy birthday or whatever. And I specifically remember happy 7th birthday. And then it was a year and a half later that all of this shit happened because my gotcha day is July 13th. So from the time I was 7, November 9th, till turned 8, and then June. Yeah. So all of that shit happened in a year and a half. I became depressed. I became an angry little girl who, depression was inside out, turned into anger. Boom. I shouldn't say it made me a bully necessarily. I just was super awkward and weird. Yeah. But after I got past that phase, I was very sunshine, very bubbly, very like happy as a child. I just did a lot of fucked up shit because, turning into an only child at the age of 8 years old, yeah, I I turned into liking being alone, being an only child, until my my youngest sister was born, and that's on my dad's side. So technically I grew up as an only child, but for the most part I still had siblings. It was very weird. It was very interesting. So I became very independent as a child. Still am. Kind of bites me in the ass a lot of the time. But that's how I was growing up. I was very energetic, very hyper, very much the standard or typical child of ADD or ADHD, to the point where they had to put me on Adderall because I couldn't fucking focus. That's the type of kid I was. And being as though, I don't know if anybody has done their research or experienced it firsthand or heard about it, when you are a young girl with issues on top of issues on top of issues, such as myself, trauma, toxicity, abandonment issues, ADHD, or ADD, it is a chaotic cocktail, or it is very hard for someone to make friends, especially young girls. It's very hard for girls like that to make friends. Another point where I don't like when people call me annoying. Still fucking hurts. Still hurts my little childhood, inner child, whatever. Growing up, I always knew that I was different. Because while everyone else had a 2-parent household, they have lived in the same house their entire life. And I'm not talking about in high school, because in elementary and middle school, oh my God, your parents are still together for the most part. Middle school, oh my God, they're getting a divorce. High school, oh my God, my parents are divorced. So in that transition of being in elementary school, a lot of people's parents were together. I had jumped around from house to house. I was already different. Everyone's experiences were pretty much closely aligned, and there were not a lot of kids who were like me in those situations, so it made me feel a lot of time like an outcast. Middle school, same kind of concept, but while everyone was wearing Uggs and, trying to blend in with their fashion choices and their friend groups and stuff, I was wearing flared jeans, hoodies, I had a fucking bob, I had little Harry Potter glasses and braces, and I wore tennis shoes all the time. Until I met this girl in one of my guitar classes. Fucking love guitar. I need to get back into it. Met a girl in my guitar class, I think it was 7th grade. She was an 8th grader and I was a 7th grader. Fucking gave me fashion advice, and she was so nice. Shout out Reagan. Absolutely love it. Hairstyle, makeup, fashion. She influenced me into that point to get a different haircut and try to transition into someone who, fit in. I really wasn't worried about my sexuality, especially after the whole Nessa bit at fucking 6th or 7th grade. I want to say specifically 7th grade, but it was such a weird time. Fucking buoy bracelets and the animal stretchy rubber band things and the little animal squish pencil toppers, along with Aeropostale and fucking Shane Dawson, Jenna Marbles, people like that time, fucking neon shit, neon animal print. iPhones were just coming in, like, and my parents got me a fucking track phone because they didn't trust me enough to have any type of social media or an iPhone, while all these kids were getting iPhones and shit, or Blackberries. I had a little $20 track phone that they legit had to put minutes on so that way I could communicate with them. Couldn't really text my friends, you know. That's another way that I was a lot isolated. Couldn't really text my friends. My mom, though, she allowed me to have Facebook when I was 12, so that way I could keep in contact with my friends. But I'd always known that I was different, and my sexuality was just not what I was worried about the most. It was, number one, having friends and trying to fit in and looking somewhat normal. Things that I loved, like, I was still playing with Barbies when I was 12. I shouldn't even say that. I loved rearranging shit. I also played Littlest Pet Shop. Loved my Littlest Pet Shop. Loved my Polly Pockets. My Barbies. I had a DS. Like, I very much would rearrange shit and make it more interior design. What else did I like to do? I liked to read a lot of books. That was where I got into House of Night by Kristen and PC Cast. Favorite books. Absolutely love them. Pinterest was a lot of my shit back then. But I was always painting. I was always creating. I was always doing things. And my fear growing up was that I would never, like, fit in. I would never find somebody to confide in. I was very much, like, I liked being hidden away, if that makes sense, because I didn't want to be judged. I don't think I could have handled being judged and tormented and whatever else, because I didn't think people liked me. I didn't think that I was good enough for a lot of things. I would see my friends get into relationships or people have crushes on them, and it was like the little passing of the notes or whatever else. Those, like, butterfly feelings that you get when it's young puppy love. It's exciting. It's like, oh my God, they like me. I like them. What's going to happen tomorrow? I can't wait to talk to them in class. Oh my God, they fucking hugged me today. Oh, he or she texted me yesterday. Like, that's fucking crazy. Shit like that. Didn't really experience a lot of those moments. I remember, oh my God, this is so fucking stupid. I was one of those people, and I came up with this rule for myself when I was really young. I would text whoever, like, guys specifically, I should say, hey. And I would do it, like, once a day or a couple times a day for, I don't know, like a week, maybe less than a week, until I got the hint. And then I started making a rule of, like, okay, I'm going to text them like 3 times. If they don't respond, that's my rule. I'm not texting them until they text me. I was one of those kids. Like, hey, how's it going? Blah, blah, blah. And it really led that into people pleasing and trying to stay quiet and trying to make less of myself because I wanted people to like me. I didn't want to be that annoying kid that everyone thought that I was, or this girl, fucking puberty, where your nose gets bigger. Like, I didn't fucking fit into my nose until I was probably 14. My nose grew first before anything else did. I wanted friends and people to hang out with. And there were a few people that I did hang out with, like Alyssa and Nessa and their group of people, because she lived down the street from me. But I was always like the backup friend, if that makes any sense. People didn't always choose me first, which I think is now why in group settings I make sure everyone feels heard. I make sure everyone feels included. If somebody is walking in a group and someone's behind or ahead, I usually wait for the person in the back, or I go stand with them and walk with them and converse with them, so that way they don't feel alone, because I know exactly how it feels to be alone in public settings specifically. I know what it feels like to be left behind and nobody pays attention to you. So all that led into people pleasing. How can I fit in? Stay quiet about how I'm feeling, shrinking myself to make others comfortable, seeking validation from people, always trying to, like, not so much as be a pick me, but I think a lot of kids back then were pick me's because we were all trying to figure our shit out. We were all trying to grow and get friends, and were always fucking insecure, because once we get middle school and those awkward teenage years, our self-esteem just goes way down. I wish younger me would have ventured out a little more, but I think my parents were so scared of me following my biological mother's footsteps that they tried their much to shield me from doing what teenagers do or preteens do, which is hanging out with friends, staying up all night, walking, walking to the gas station, having a great time, sleepovers all the time, which I wasn't really getting many invitations for a sleepover. But I remember this one friend that I had, the one that I made my Instagram with, Allison. Fucking awesome. I really wanted to be her friend. She was very, very cool about a lot of things. And she was the one who my mom really wanted me to have as a friend, because her mom died when she was really little, so she only had her dad. And my mom figured, oh, she could somewhat know how you feel when losing a mom. But it's still very different, because I don't know, I want to say that her mom passed away. I really can't remember if her mom left or passed away, but if she did, I really want to say that she did pass away. Her mom didn't leave her by choice. That wasn't her choice to leave anybody, her child and her husband. My mother chose to do that, so it's very different. But she was very accepting. She made me feel very pretty, because she was very girly girl, so she would like do my hair, she would help me with my outfits. She would be in a lot of relationships, not at the same time. She was just more of a, she was one of those girls that had a lot of guy friends, and it made sense in a way because she grew up with her dad. So I don't know, the way that the whole thing works just makes more sense to me. Like, girls who grow up with their dads, just by themselves, like only with their dads, have a lot of guy friends because they're around masculinity, so they just like know. I don't know. It makes sense to me mentally. And vice versa, like if a guy grew up with his, like, by a single mom, he probably has a lot of girls as friends because he can kind of relate or whatever else. Again, makes more sense to me mentally, but Allison really did a great job at making me feel like I actually had a friend. And it was like the first few months of high school, right before I moved, actually. It was freshman year. She took me to my first football game that wasn't at our school. And I think she was like my first sleepover with a friend. But had a lot of fun. And she made me feel, a little accepted and safe. But I wish I had more of that when I was younger. More of an acceptance. More of somebody who, looked at me and said, hey, it's okay if you're, having a crush on girls. I wish somebody would have picked up on my little crush with Nessa. To be like, you know what? It's okay. It's okay to be like that. It's okay for you to have a crush on a girl or whoever you wanted. I probably would have felt safe. I probably would have, came out sooner and realized, you know what? I'm not alone in this. But I really didn't understand the concept of, being gay or being bisexual or, the term pansexual or whatever else. Wasn't much of a thing being taught in my childhood. That was more so, what other people were pretty much learning because they had access to social media and everything. Not me. I was one of those kids that didn't. I know I wasn't alone in that aspect, but, a lot of the time. I just wish somebody would have noticed and taken notice of me and said, hey, there's nothing wrong with you. You are exactly who you are meant to be. In a way, I shouldn't hate it because it made me who I am today. But turning that into adulthood, going through those toxic and abusive relationships because I thought that it was like normal or the bare minimum and whatever else, learning the boundaries and choosing healthier relationships, including friendships, and just letting go of the shame and finding a community of friends, a group of friends that made me feel more seen. And I had to do a lot of the work myself as well, because after I broke up with Pugsley, I was so strong and still mentally am so strong in my way of, I don't care about your opinion. I'm going to do whatever it is that I feel is right. Like, people can call me cringy and annoying and still don't like that word though. I'm very much self-conscious and confident within myself of like, okay, then maybe you're not my type of person. I started looking at things as like, instead of, oh my God, do they like me? Do they like me? Do they not like me? Am I being like weird? Am I like too much? Instead of looking at it like that, I started looking at it as like, do I like them? Do they share the same moral qualities that I do? Do they match my vibe? Are they good to be around? Are they trustworthy? Are they honest? Are they going to say like, hey, yeah, no, that's wrong? Or are they just going to feed my ego? Because there's a difference of having friends who feed your ego and tell you, oh my God, you're doing everything right, even though you're in the wrong. Like, no, you want somebody who checks you and not in a, yeah, you're being too much, but in a, hey, maybe that's not really a good idea, but I understand, the intention, or, hey, maybe not having that opinion is okay because here's this perspective And maybe that'll change your perspective. Still learning and still having those like setbacks, especially sometimes when I make new friends. I'm like, okay, do they like me? Like, their vibes are kind of weird. And it is weirder when somebody's more inconsistent, because I have an issue where if somebody's not consistent with their actions or, their energy, I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. What happened? What's going on? Is something wrong? And one of my friends really pointed this out, because we were talking about career stuff, and she was like, you're such a fixer and you want to help people that I think you need something like that. And it really dawned on me, like, because sometimes something can be so blatantly obvious in my face and I just, fucking ignore it because, I don't know, I'm oblivious. I'm a problem solver. I am a fixer. I am a try to do good, but don't let people walk all over me type of person, to the point where if someone's saying fucked up shit, I want to correct it. Be like, listen, you can't say that. That's not right. You're not going to be saying that in front of me. Because what's the worst that they could do? And if somebody's like, oh, they could kill you. Well, yeah, but I don't like to cower down a lot of the times. And that would get me in trouble. That's another thing that I went through a lot as a kid. I don't like authority. I have an authority problem. I wish I was more like that as a kid. I wish I was more outspoken about things, and instead of being quiet, because while kids were being bullied, after I grew out of my bullying phase, I wish I would have stepped up and done it more as a kid. I wish I would have advocated for a lot of people. And I think that's why I more so did projects for an English class where they were like, pick a topic that you're passionate about. And I always picked gay rights. I come from, my dad's super passionate as well. And it would drive me crazy when something would happen and my mom wouldn't be as passionate about something. My dad, though, has a lot of passion. My mom, on the other hand, I don't know how she does it. She's just so nonchalant about things, and she just lets things roll off her back. I don't know how she does it. But I will replay shit over and over in my mind. I'm like, wait a minute, that's so fucking weird. That's fucked up. Like, I don't know. I get my passion, I'm pretty sure, from being me, being emotional, but my dad's the one who would always talk to me about equal rights, and the government should not, tell people how they should live their lives. And it really incorporated me having a passion for all the gay rights and people living how they need to live. Him and I would talk about how weird it is that you need a marriage license from the government telling them who you are marrying, who you are choosing to spend the rest of your life with. Why do they need to know that? Why do they care? To keep tabs on people? Yes. But if you really think about it, it is kind of weird. Why do you need permission from the government on anyone that you're gonna marry? It's weird. So I really grew up with that whole thing in mind. And I would just be so passionate about it because I was, trying to live my truth through these certain windows of everything. Like, hey, I was interested in girls when I was younger. So I'm going to talk about that in such a passionate way because I felt ashamed and, felt like I had to hide myself, but I'm going to speak out for other people because I regretted it so much as a kid. And that was my takeaway in high school. And I've just grown more into that of, hey, nobody should have any business on whether or not you are sleeping with someone of the same sex. It's nobody's business if you're transgender, if you're gay, if you're a lesbian, if you're bisexual, if you're pansexual, if you're interested or not interested in having sex. It's nobody's business. But there are so many people who make it their business for whatever reason and hate so heavily on people who have accepted and finally are trying to be their true self. I also think, in my opinion, that anybody who is homophobic, I think they are also a little bit gay. Because why else would you hate it? Why would you condemn someone like that or be weirded out so much and be so uncomfortable with how somebody else is living or who they love? And I don't want to hear the religion crap because it's really not like that. You know, the whole phase of, which the Bible was translated, if we really want to get fucking into it, the Bible was translated from a different language. I think it's a dead language, but it's still a fucking different language to the point where, hey, somebody could have fucked this up. And you want to know how they made the whole text? They didn't have printers back then, so it'd be a bunch of guys sitting in a room copying from one text or off of a book that another guy translated and wrote down. And they would just copy and write it. So yeah, there's going to be some mistakes because people fuck up. And if you really want to get on here, be like the whole phrase of man should not lay with man. That's actually not true. It was man should not lie or lay with boy or child. But a lot of people, I think, miss that and misinterpret that. And then they think that the whole thing in the Bible is, you know, man should not lay with man, when really it's man should not lay with child. Because, you know, pedophilia is the worst thing. I mean, in my eyes, I think it's the worst thing anybody could do. Ugh, don't even get me started on that fucking shit. God, I could go on a fucking tangent. Disgusting. But a lot of people interpret the wrong thing and they just run with it. It's so weird. Like, why is it any of your goddamn business who somebody is in love with or, you know, marrying or living with or wants to have a family with? It's nobody's business. And if there are younger kids listening to this podcast, there's nothing wrong with you. If you have fantasies about the same gender person, you're fine. You are okay. You are perfect the way you are. There is nothing wrong with you. You are who you are meant to be. If somebody wants to condemn you because you have the purest form of love, you want to make somebody happy, they make you happy, you want to love them, you want to kiss them, you want to touch them, you want, you know, just to be in their presence, to be happy and make each other happy. There is nothing wrong with that. Love everyone. Love anyone you want. Because at the end of the day, it's your life. You're going to die one day, And you really don't want to look back on this life and be like, damn, I wish I would have done that. I wish I would have said how I was feeling. I wish I would have loved them. And it is perfectly fine. And I feel bad for people who get into marriages, like, if they are gay, they know they're gay, or at least bisexual, whatever, how they want to, identify their sexuality as. And they get into these marriages, and then they get out of them and they realize, like, hey, oh shit, I'm free. I'm done living the way that people think that I should be labeled as. And I'm ready to, date who I actually want to date. Now, I hear these stories about women, in the 50s or 60s, even in, who, maybe it was the 70s also, because gay marriage was illegal or frowned upon and stuff, the only way that they could, like, have kids, like, if their dream was to have a family and have children, they had to pick one or the other. They had to pick whether or not they wanted to be with the same sex, aka a woman for this example, because she's the one that was in the interview. This woman had to pick whether or not she wanted children or she wanted to be with a woman, and she chose having children. So she ultimately made the decision to marry a man just so she could have children, because IVF and whatever else was super expensive or it was a problem. And same-sex couples, like, it was illegal for them to adopt. It's so sad. It's so sad. It breaks my heart. Like, you had to choose one or the other. Like, I couldn't even imagine. I also, fun fact, learned that the reason the L goes first in LGBTQ plus is because when gay men had the AIDS epidemic years ago, lesbians were the ones that were taking care of them in the hospitals and stuff. So in order to honor the lesbians, gay men, chose to put the L first, which I thought that was a cute little fun fact. And ways that I'm now protecting my inner child, or the kid that is a reflection of who I was, I'm refusing to tolerate that type of language, or just the hateful speech that people have, or, like, if anybody speaks to me or to others in a way of, like, yeah, who you are is wrong, that's disgusting, that's awful, that's whatever, I won't tolerate it. I'm more open about who I am. I try my best to prioritize mental health and walking away from situations that make me feel small. I refuse to partake in people that don't see me. Because why would I want anything less? And I've grieved, and I think I'm still grieving what was lost, like missed experiences, first loves that couldn't happen openly, like the whole Nessa situation, and years I've spent not making eye contact with naked mannequins in Victoria's Secret, or looking at bras. I couldn't look at bras for the longest time because I was like, oh my god, if I look at this bra for too long, people are going to think that I'm weird. People are going to think that I'm fucking gay. And I don't want them to think that way of me. Super awkward. Anyone who even accused me of doing that sort of thing, I was like, no, no, no. Like in the most awkward, unsubtle way possible. Like, I wish I wish somebody would have been like, yeah, you're so fucking obvious. But I just got used to hiding it or pretending or just avoiding the conversation or changing the subject super easily. I shouldn't be completely sad because, again, everything that everything I've experienced in my life has led me to be who I am today. And I'm very proud of who I am today. Do I have things that I can work on and improve? Absolutely. But overall, I've become incredibly resilient. I have a great sense of humor. I have the ability to love despite everything. And if I could tell my younger self and tell whoever else needs to hear this, you don't have to shy away from things. You don't have to pretend and hide and avoid things. Sometimes it's as easy as like, hey, you like them, you have feelings for them, you want to hang out with them, you want to, love them. And that is the purest thing that you could do. It's one of the greatest things that you can do. And it's much better than hating somebody. It's one of those self-reflection things that everyone has to go through. And if you just want to be free-spirited and love everyone, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. Anybody who says so, they've got their own problems. A lot of people tend to, deflect or just, what's the word I'm looking for? Project their own insecurities, their own problems onto other people. Maybe you living freely and openly, like we all know those people that just go with the flow and are so themselves that it makes other people jealous. And you're like, damn, why can't I be like that? Fuck. You can. It just takes practice. And maybe a lot of people can be jealous of somebody living so freely and not giving a shit about, what other people have to say. I just genuinely wish that somebody would have seen me as a young preteen teenager and been like, hey, it's okay to be interested in girls and to be gay or be bisexual or be this or be that. Like, it's okay. But we have society as a whole telling us what we should and shouldn't be. And I think more so people now are trying to break free of that mold and break free of society's normal, which normal is a fucking illusion. I just wish somebody would have told me, like looked me dead in my eyes, grabbed me by my shoulders, shook me and said, hey, it's okay. You are perfectly fine. If you want to be with a woman, be with a woman. Or be with a girl, be with a girl. There's nothing wrong with that. I wish I would have been seen. And I know for a fact that, as hard as I tried to not make it obvious, signs were still there. And I definitely wish somebody would have noticed. But again, how would someone know? You know what I mean? I think it's just important for us to ask the question, like, if the younger version of me walked into this room today, would they finally feel safe with me? my answer will always be yes, absolutely. Younger me would be so proud and be like, wow, this is awesome. Like, I didn't know that we could have all this. I didn't think I was smart enough. I didn't think I was good enough. I didn't think I was pretty enough. I didn't think I'd have all these fucking tattoos. I didn't think I would be something or someone like who I am right now. And that's enough for me. Genuinely. I hope I made little me proud. I really do. But live your life. Do whatever the hell you want as long as you are not hurting yourself or other people. You are fine. You're free. You're capable. You're smart. You're resilient. You got this. That's all I gotta say. So that is the end of this episode. If you guys really liked it, enjoyed it, you know what to do, share it, send it to somebody, don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel and follow the Spotify account. If you guys are interested in purchasing products such as jewelry, or anything else that I have on my Etsy page, there's a link in my Instagram bio and TikTok. So my Instagram is Migdalia Bonilla, Migdalia, B as in boy, Onillaa, or Life with Migdalia, Lifewithmigdalia. God, it's so exhausting having a long fucking name, but whatever. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it. And like my TikTok and whatever else is pretty much the same. So if you want to give a follow or whatever, do what you gotta do. I appreciate your guys' support, always. If you're interested in listening to, a different topic or have any questions or whatever, don't be scared to comment something or, DM me. More so comment, okay? I look at my comments more than anything. But yeah, so I hope you guys have a great week, and I will see you next time. Love you, bye.